Did you know India needs over 7 million liters of plasma each year, but only processes around 2 million liters of plasma? According to industry estimates, this shortage has left thousands without timely access to critical treatments like immunoglobulins and clotting factors. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Vinod Nahar, who is the founder and CEO of PlasmaGen Biosciences, a company that's bringing life-saving plasma therapies. Mr. Vinod and his company, they are not only solving this problem, but they are doing it at a scale. Welcome to Visionary Voices, where we unpack stories of leadership, resilience, and business that drives real change. In this episode, we will explore how Mr. Vinod Nahar has built his company, what he has learned through tough phases, and how mindset and culture drive business results. Vinod, it's great to have you with us.
Hey, pleasure here as well, Kiran. Great to be with you here and looking forward to a great conversation with you.
Thank you, Vinod. I have to admit, let's start from the beginning in a way. You built something that truly matters. But let's go back before PlasmaGen. What made you to take the leap into entrepreneurship, and more importantly, why in this particular space?
Yeah, Kiran, it's a very interesting question. Uh, you know, as a young kid, I was very intrigued into doing multiple things. And then, my father being a chartered accountant, I got pulled into his profession. And then what I realized over years, at least in that phase with my father, I was there with him in thick of things, doing multiple audits, handling hundreds of clients. And while pursuing my chartered accountancy, I was very clear at that point of time after, spending 4 or 5 years that, I need to get into something, building a business, because that's where when I was talking to so many entrepreneurs, when I was auditing their firms or looking at their financials, and it really pulled me into a thought process that I should do something of my own, and that's how I got into at least building something. And then within the larger family, my uncles and the extended family were doing extremely well in pharma distributions. So I thought if they are making money, let's get into pharmaceutical. So that was my initiation into pharma business as such.
And in fact, I do talk to many entrepreneurs, Vinod, and they always say that, right? When they start a business, it is not. Sometimes it's like an accidental. It's not like they have chosen it, but once they start growing or scaling their business, then it becomes much more by design. But in your case, it's the same as well, right? You're chartered accountant by profession, but it was not by design, but more of an opportunity that has landed to you, and you decided.
I agree. In fact, when I was dealing with a lot of clients, I came across a firm which was into pharma distribution, and it had a good legacy, but then it turned sick at that point of time. They just had few employees and a couple of crore of revenue, and I thought it's a great opportunity to jump into it. And then I announced it to my father. He was not very happy about this decision, but then finally he agreed, and then I bought over the pharma distribution company. And then in next few years, 3-4 years, we grow it to 150 crore revenue with 300 people. And it was an interesting journey because as a young person with no formal background at all into business, and then my father being into profession, right? Years of that sort of a safety net sort of a mindset which was in the family, to break that and then do something like this was pretty remarkable. Of course, the story is interesting there. There were ups and downs, in fact, in the initial phases, but finally it all turned out well.
Definitely, Vinod, I wanted to get a bit more deeper into that ups and downs as well. But you made an interesting point, right? You don't have any formal background about doing a business. So, what was that one thing that you believed about entrepreneurship that turned out to be completely wrong? We always wanted to make money, or we want to make a difference, but when as soon as you start entrepreneurship, we everybody, there's nothing like, it's not like bed of roses. You have to go through ups and downs. So what was that belief that you had about entrepreneurship, but as soon as you started it, it turned out to be completely wrong?
See, Kiran, candidly, at least at that point of time, because in professions, right, you personally have to put your own, time and effort. Either you're a doctor or a chartered accountancy, the amount of hours you put into is built into a certain billing. At least those days. Uh, and for me, it was very clear that I wanted to make a certain money and then retire early. And very early into the business, when I took over this pharma distribution company,
Yeah.
I realized that I made a huge mistake. It wasn't easy, and to scale up, you had to really take risk. So at one point of time, at least in the initial period, few months, I thought I've made a mistake. Let me shut this down and account for whatever losses, and then go back to my father's profession. But then, very candidly, I thought, I have nothing to lose. So I started taking big risk, and uh, uh, basically, if I had to take this is about recruiting people. I recruited people in dozens. Any infrastructural changes, whether it was the office or the warehouse. So I took all the risks that time and put all in, in terms of the my resources, whether it is financial or otherwise. So I think the critical thing here is the risk taking, and sometimes if you don't know the space much, it's a boon in disguise, because if you know too much about the business, then you may not take those risks.
Okay. I mean, this is an interesting point, what you said, right? This is the difference between growing and scaling your business. In your case, when you're stuck at your business, I was noting down a few things, right? When you say you took big risks, all you did was you focused more on hiring more people. That means you kind of strengthened you want to have right people on the right bus with the right sitting on the right seats. And you also looked at certain systems where the systems I talk about infrastructure, and you also looked at pumping up more money. So that kind of mindset, is it fair to say that helped you instead of being stuck to start growing and eventually scaling the business?
Yeah, I felt I was already in, deep sea, right? So the best way to float is just to, take some big decisions, right? So, in fact, with no financial background at all, I didn't have any money of my own, and everything was borrowed money. I had to take those decisions, right? And then to grow that firm, let's say from a couple of crore to few hundred crores in just 5 years, it was just that those risks paid off, right? Not every time those risks pay off, and those were early years. Of course, my journey has been, we have evolved from a pharma distribution to marketing company, marketing my own products, and then, international exports. And then, of course, the manufacturing, part of what we have evolved into. So it's been pretty interesting. In every stage, I had to take those big risks. Of course, every stage you go through near death, situation, and it's not that it won't come in the future. It's always that the case is. So you have to go through this evolution, and finally, the journey is not easy, but finally you think in the past and see, it was all worth, while the end is great, happy, but when you look at your past and the years I put into my own journey, it's pretty satisfying, I would say.
So how long was when was this, Vinod? When you talk about this pharma distribution is set up, right? When was this?
This was early 2000,
Early
so
2000.
25 years back. Of course, the pharma distribution, and the case has been that, I've built businesses. The period have been 5 to 6 years,
Hmm.
and I've very quickly evolved myself. So from 2000 to 2005, 2007, those were early pharma distribution business. Then I got into the international, the domestic marketing and international businesses. Of course, that didn't pan out well, and that was there for 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
But by 2010, I realized that, being into too many areas, especially when we were a trading entity selling too many products, didn't make sense. And my, exposure in the international market, almost 50 to 60 countries, helped me understand that the best way is to get into an area which is niche. Very few players are there, and that's how we got into blood plasma products, right? And 2010 we started PlasmaGen Biosciences. So I sold off everything else, and there was just this singular focus on blood plasma products. And that's where, today I'm pretty focused on one business, which is PlasmaGen Biosciences.
I would go into detail about PlasmaGen as well. But for me personally, I'm enjoying it because I wanted to get because now you already build a business, you have already exited the business, now you are building another business. For me, I just wanted to it's such a great learning curve without any background, coming from CA background, right? You went about taking a business which you're not familiar in the industry, right? And you mentioned about you need to be taking certain big risk, and that really paid off. And if I had to put it in a very scientific way, that big risk is all about hiring the right people and having the right systems and strategies for you to grow and scale. So this is brilliant. So before I get into the plasma gen, I just wanted to ask, because this is one area where I often see entrepreneurs when I'm talking to a lot of leaders, right? Um, they somehow stop learning at some point. So, because you come from CA background, how was your journey in terms of learning new things before you? Because for you to even take certain risks, you need to have certain amount of knowledge, right? In terms of how do we even hire people, how do we, what kind of infrastructure we need to put in place. So, how did you go about learning this stuff to ensure that whatever you did, there is a bit of intuition in you taking the right decisions?
Yeah, Kiran, I think learning through the process of building business is always very important. In fact, I've been a very key observer of people, and fortunately, I've had that uh, you know uh, chance of meeting the industry leaders, right? And always I've kept some of them as a role model, right? For example, Sun Pharma is one of the leading company in India, and the Lip Sangvi has been a role model for me. So you emulate some of these leaders, and then you look forward to what they have done well. So the good thing about me has been that I've interacted with these leaders over the years. Even whoever I could get an opportunity to talk to and understand, and finally, whatever you learn, Kiran, I think the most critical thing is to execute it on ground, right? And life teaches you all the lessons, right? And I practically would have made every mistake in the book, right? And for a success like PlasmaGen, I know how many mistakes I have made, right? I've made hundreds of those mistakes. So you learn on the job. You sometimes feel, oh, I've paid such a huge cost for a certain learning, right? Which could have come at a very reasonable cost when interacting with some of the consultants. But that's how my journey has been.
Very interesting. Thank you, Vinod. So let's talk about PlasmaGen. How did this born for you? Because you said you started in 2010. Um, before you even decided to get into this, was there any kind of defining moment or anything you felt there was a gap in the market, or where you felt uh, where patients had not been addressed? That kind of led you that burning desire to build this PlasmaGen?
Kiran, as I mentioned about my past journey, right? When I evolved from a pharma distribution to a marketing to a international business. So when we were meeting a lot of international buyers, right, and we had a very impressive list of products, well, including a small section on blood plasma products. And there was a huge interest in these set of product. People were okay with the other product because there were already a lot of suppliers for that. And it brought a sense of a curiosity in me that I mean, what is special about these products? So I started getting deeper into it, and what I realized is the blood plasma products, right? There are very few manufacturers globally, and the demand is huge. So there's a huge gap in the demand and supply. So uh, I mean, I always wanted to be in an area where I'm sought after, right? And I thought to get into an area like this would be pretty interesting. Of course, in that period, I met a lot of manufacturers. We had partnered with some of them in China, Korea, and other countries, and I've seen their facilities. And then I thought, at India can make a difference, and certainly look into it. Uh, of course, largely we are a B2B company, which means, we interact with, distributors or buyers or the government tender, who buy medicines. And then our interaction broadly is with hospitals, which are the healthcare providers and the doctors, right? At a patient level, our interactions are very minimal, but, we certainly realize that this area is a pretty uh, starved of the products. So initially, at least when we started, I could see the business opportunity, and it was all about making profits and creating a business out of that at that point of time. Over the years, of course, it's pretty different now, and what we realize is that the more we have gotten deep into it. Uh, the products are very important. These are very critical to any healthcare system in the world, right? If these products are not there, the blood plasma products are not there in any healthcare system, certainly that system will be pretty, incomplete. Essentially, our products treat the patients. If these products are not available, the patients will either die or they'll lead a very crippled life, right? So that's how we got into this area.
Well, this is quite interesting, Jenny, and thank you for sharing. You felt there was a huge, of course, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you felt there was a business opportunity here because there is a discrepancy in terms of demand and supply side of the business. I wanted to, I mean, in fact, it was one of your article you published. That's where kind of made me curious as well. That's where I wanted to interact with you because in your discussion you mentioned about 7 million liters of plasma, right? Whilst India traditionally we have the supply capacity of 2 million liters, but why why do patients need it? What kind of why there is so demand for plasma related products right now? I mean, is it being traditionally or is it suddenly we have seen the surge over the last 10 years or 15 years?
Yeah, sir, I'll take a minute to just explain what exactly blood plasma products are, right? So, typically you have these pharmaceutical injectable products
Yeah.
injected into patient. Our products are pretty similar. These are presented in 100 ml or 10 ml or whatever, right? They look like injectables. They are pharmaceutical therapeutic products, but the difference is in the raw material, right? So the human blood, right, comprises of a lot of components. The largest portion is the plasma, blood plasma, which is 55%. Now, plasma is the store of all the proteins, right? All your body functions, all the important functions are conducted by these proteins, right? What we do is we, uh, start with this raw material, which is blood plasma, separate the proteins, and then we formulate them into injectables. So I'll give you a very quick understanding of what our products do typically. A product like immunoglobulin, right, is used for various indications. Largely, they are for neurological indications, oncology, and various others, right? For example, our products are used by primary immune deficiency patient group.
Oh.
Right? These are patients who have immune deficiency issues, right? So it's a very critical product. For example, we make another product called albumin. Albumin, whenever there's a surgery or a burn shock case, the patient needs albumin. There's a blood loss, patient needs albumin. So, a very critical product. So most of our products are that. And uh, basically, if you look at the overall global scenario, I'll take an example of a US, which is the highest user of these products. Right? For example, immunoglobulin for a 10,000 patient group population, they use almost 500 grams of immunoglobulin. India uses just 2 grams, right? China is at least 10 times, a higher user of India. Now, if you look at India and China, population is same, disease burden is same. Not that India is a very healthy country, right? We are slated to be the global capital of, cancers in next few decades. So we need the products. Simply, we have not as a country addressed few things. One is, while we have done well in last decade or so, but we have a long journey to go ahead. So one, we are improving the diagnosis rate so that we get the patients which are suffering silently, which are in millions.
Mm.
Of course, we as manufacturers are making this available. So even the products were not available in the past. So while we are manufacturing this, now the products are available. And most important for a country like India,
Mm.
very low, middle income countries, the products has to be affordable. So today we make and supply products at 1/4 of the global cost. So we have solved some of these problems. Like PlasmaGen, it's our mission. Not only that we give these products to the needy patients in India, but to all the emerging market. But the scenario is very same because globally there are just few manufacturers. For example, just 3-4 global players have 70 to 80% market share, and they are completely focused and busy in the developed markets. What about in the entire emerging market, right from South America to Africa, Asia, many countries? So we are addressing a huge opportunity in terms of serving these patients who are suffering silently. So we are at that cusp of opportunity where we can serve millions of patients. Kiran, while we have built this business, what we have done great is we have built a very large manufacturing facility. This is a pretty large one of the largest in the country, right? There are few ones in India, and it's a global state of art facility where it's equivalent to any of the global major manufacturing facility. So we can manufacture products out of 500,000 liters of plasma.
Mm.
And then, of course, we can expand that further. So we are solving some big problems here, and I'm pretty happy, and with great pride we can say that we certainly have solutions for the world. At least, and that's what we are solving for.
I mean, this is quite impressive. What was going in my mind while you had explaining this to me, right? Whilst it started as kind of a business opportunity, now your purpose has evolved in terms of uh, literally helping patients who, as you rightly mentioned, they are it's silently they are facing this problem, but they have no idea how to go about, right? And I'm quite surprised to see, whilst there is a strong demand, we India, I mean, we were kind of relying on imports, right? Which was basically the huge cost for our own patients. So you're not only addressing the direct patient needs, you're also kind of addressing the affordability as well, right? And you mentioned about large manufacturing facility. Where is this?
This is a facility which we have built, which is close to Bangalore, an hour's drive from here, close to Kolar,
Okay.
right? And we have built this facility on an 8-acre land,
Hmm.
which footprint in terms of the manufacturing capacity. It can manufacture products out of 500,000 liters, and we can make multiple products like immunoglobulins, albumin, factors, hyperimmune products, right? Yeah.
Now, this is impressive. I mean, so you're basically addressing two problems, right? One, historically, most plasma-derived therapies were imported. Right now, with Make in India gaining around, and now with your Kola facility is now operational. Um, I wanted to understand what gave you the confidence to invest in a large scale manufacturing domestically? I can imagine it is a lot of cost associated there, right? Whilst you want to take advantage of Make in India facility and other stuff, but I wanted to see what gave you the confidence in setting up this large scale manufacturing domestically, and um, how do you think this changes Plasmagen's role in the ecosystem that we currently have?
See, as you rightly mentioned, right, we were importing all the plasma products in the past. The percentage of import has dropped to just 15 or 20% now. Are now manufactures most of the plasma products. Of course, we still are dependent on some of the products, but we in next 5 to 10 years, we would manufacture every possible product. Rather, we have solution for global markets, right? Uh, as you know, coming from a distribution background and then getting into international trade, at least I didn't have any knowledge or experience of building a manufacturing facility. So it was a huge uh, task in the sense of building one, right? Fortunately, India has a great talent pool, right, in the biotech space. So we have had the fortune of having really good people, who helped us build this facility right from R&D to develop the products, and then technically to engineer and design this facility, and then of course the manufacturing process itself. And we certainly have done something which the industry has not done at all, even at a global scale. For example, a new facility to scale up, right, from a small batch to a large batch. So we have done some of those, technical part of the manufacturing pretty well. So I would really give credit to the talent pool what we as a country have, and we have had a fortune of getting some of them, you know, at PlasmaGen. So of course, it's taken years. It took 3 to 4 years to build this facility, to develop the products, and then today we have a product which we have developed with our own IP, and we continue to develop a new product every quarter, right? So that's how we are going about.
Now, this is an impressive turnaround, Vinod. In a way, it's like a dream coming true, right? I mean, you understood there was a great business opportunity, demand and supply, they were not in balance. Um, you also understood there was many patients were suffering silently. You wanted to address certain the patients' needs, not just in India but also across the APAC and even global, right? Um, you put up a nice manufacturing facility that now currently has a capacity to produce 500,000 liters. And now you're in a situation where you can now absolutely scale up the business. But I want to talk about because this industry is quite regulatory, right? Um, I mean, regulators are always tightening the safety, traceability, and cold chain standards. Um, and now Indian companies, right, are expected to match European benchmarks. Previously, you did mention we got a great talent pool, but how has your team evolved to meet these new compliance expectations? How do you balance regulatory rigor with business agility?
We have built this facility for the global market, right? So while we have designed the facility looking at the global horizon, not only from a scale but from a technical aspect, right? So today, what we do at PlasmaGen at this facility is exactly what the best products or the best manufacturers in the world do. So of course, the regulatory environment is pretty stringent, right? Not only globally but India as well, right? And especially in a space like blood plasma, which there are hardly any manufacturers, right? So the regulator looks with a additional lens of scrutiny. And today, uh, our facility can meet, US FDA norms or EU GMP, expectations. So, right from testing the blood plasma to manufacturing and then getting the best quality products. We have the entire process pretty stringently, followed up, right? And then uh, we do go through audits, right? Not only by the local regulatory agencies, but from global firms as well. So, in a nutshell, it's a highly regulated market, and we have been following all those norms to a point that some of these regulators have and come and told that you're doing overdoing things, right? So what we are very clear at PlasmaGen is we don't want to cut any corners. We want to do the best, want to create the best product for the patient, and the patient gets the best product, the most safest product. In fact, traditionally, patients used to get blood infusions, right? There's no blood infusion because when you were needing blood, it was not blood that you were needing. You were needing certain proteins out of the which came out of blood, right? So we today in India, you will hardly see any blood infusion, which in the past you would see that, right? So that's how it is now.
It's impressive. I mean, my knowledge in this plasma related products is very limited, but I know there was a blood transfusion. It was way back in 2010 or 11 where there was a need of some sort of blood transfusion. But it's interesting to see that with the protein based in your blood, right, you can cure many diseases. I was just wondering, was there any defining moment where every entrepreneur has a story where your product made a difference, and I'm sure there's already making a difference in millions of people's life. Was there anything that you could remember of that really impacted in one patient's life? Was there anything that you can think of?
Yeah, Kiran, I think see in a area like ours, right? Especially we start with the blood plasma, right? So we certainly acknowledge the blood, which the donors donate, right? If without blood and plasma, no one will get products, right? Finally, I think we all should acknowledge the benevolent nature of people who come and donate to the blood banks.
Okay.
So I've at least interacted with donors, and I would really want to say that it's a very very liberating experience when I meet some of them right at the blood banks. I met this one gentleman, right, mid-aged, and when he was donating his blood, right, his blood was special blood because it had a certain type of the match which is used in some special patient. And when I was interacting with him, and a very a poor guy, right, not well to do, not that he gets paid anything for whatever is donating his blood, right? And he comes every week to the blood bank and he donates his blood, right? And when I was interacting with him, he had donated like hundreds of it was his nth number of donation at that point of time. So I think one is the donors itself who are donating this blood, and it's all voluntarily they are doing it. And then at the patient level, when you look at the patient, right, the type of patient we are treating, like hemophilic. Now, hemophilia is a state where the patient, when they bleed, the blood doesn't clot, right? If we don't get plasma products or factors being given to them, this patient will bleed to death, right? So I've had a fortune. I've been fortunate enough to interact with a lot of patients, patient group. And when you see their state, all the PID, the primary immune deficient, young adults or even kids, they look very fragile. But when they get the infusions of immunoglobulin, it's such a satisfying experience. So I think, if PlasmaGen or the likes of PlasmaGen wasn't there in existence, I think so many people wouldn't have benefited. So most of the time we are in the backdrop. We the patient even won't know who PlasmaGen is. Of course, they would know the treating physician. So we are a good partner to the doctors or the physician, treating physician, and we help the doctor to help patient lead a very normal life.
This is a very touching story, and whoever listeners, I would really encourage, and including me as well. Uh, it makes a lot of difference where you take time and donate, and of course follow all the medical precautions, whatever it is there. But it's so touching. A gentleman who has that will, uh, voluntarily is coming, and he has done multiple times, right? And also your uh, story about, right, when you interact a lot of patients where they see that they are facing with certain problems just with plasma based therapy products, it has already impacted and made a lot of difference in terms of.
I'll give you another example, right? We have a product called Anti-D, right? There are a lot of expecting mothers, let's say, because of a RH mismatch, right? The child would die in the womb itself, at a very early stage. The woman doesn't conceive.
Mm.
And once we give this product, which is out again a blood plasma product, Anti-D, right? Miraculously, the woman conceives because there's a biological intervention which happens with this drug. And then, I'm sure, when they become a mother and they have a child, it's such a satisfying thing for us that we are able to help some of these, critical areas where it fulfills, the motherhood for them at least, right?
No, that's significant. Thank you, Vinod, for sharing as well. So it goes back to it. The more hospitals you reach, the more difference you can make to patients' lives as well, right? Just wondering, how many hospitals have you reached now at this point of time?
See, we are there across the country in all major hospitals. You name the hospital, we are there, right? So the listed ones are 700. But we have an intricate network of distributors. So there are many smaller nursing homes across the country. India is such a huge country. So we reach to thousands of them. So that is one. And secondly, we meet at least 1,500 to 2,000 doctors
Mm.
who are neurologists, oncologists, intensivists. So there are various specialists we meet. We promote the product and then, talk about the quality of the product
Mm.
and ensure that our product not only is consistently available, but we will provide this at a very affordable cost.
Well, this is impressive and as well. And if anyone in the doctor network, I think I would highly encourage to come and even check your manufacturing facility, right? So brilliant. So
Uh, Inviting every stakeholder to our facility, and every time they visit the facility, they say, "Oh, we have never seen such a wonderful facility." And I think even Kiran, you've had a chance to look around, and I'm sure you can vote for that.
Uh, I personally loved it. And I think that's one of the reasons where personally decided to host you on this podcast, because I was really wowed. It's very near and dear to my city, Bangalore, and it's not far away from the location. But what impressed me was the quality of the manufacturing facility that you had, right? And the professionalism and the team, the way it was all there, right? I was literally blown off. Whilst I don't know the technicalities of it, but in terms of, I could see the level of investment made to make it world class, and it's pretty and a pretty great work, Vinod. Really good. So good. We touched on many aspects of your business life. I mean, starting from your entrepreneurship to all the way to PlasmaGen. So I wanted to just get bit more, uh, wanted to get bit more insights, because this is one routine that I always wanted to do, ask for leaders, because I truly believe every leader has one certain habit or practice they diligently follow throughout their life. So what is that one habit or practice that you uh, that work for you, Vinod?
See, as a child, I was very, very, I would say, very lazy, and I trained very hard to be what I am today, right? So it's been a very consistent reminder to myself that I have to do something. And for that, if I look back, I think two or three core areas. I've been very consistent, to do the same thing over and over again, right? That's consistency, I would say, is a good quality about me. Second is about the focus.
Hmm.
To be in an area like this where there are just few players, right? So, and to focus just on this and not get distracted is something very important. So I follow a very simple process of looking at top three priorities, whether it is business or, personal life. So I always have a list of what are the top three things I have to attend to. And everything else doesn't catch my attention. It's the team which does that. So I think one, consistency, secondly is certainly focus. And third, you have to put in time, Kiran, and you have to keep working hard, right? And with no guarantee that it will yield result, right? So I think these are the three virtues with which I will led my life, and I'm sure this is something which has become a core of me now.
But this is impressive. I mean, this is one thing which I always ask for leaders because they have countless demands on their time. How do they balance, right? Because the most difficult thing for CEO is to say to no to many things that came in the way. But I really love your laser sharp focus in terms of okay, here are my three priorities. The rest, everything is my team. My and in fact, that's the difference between a company that is growing and scaling. It's they have a well efficient, productive team who knows what it is and they take care of it. And you focus on the key priorities that needs to take the business to the next level, right? Brilliant. So one other thing which I wanted to ask was what advice you would give to younger version of yourself if you had to give an advice?
I would certainly reduce the number of mistakes which are made in past, right? Though I can make it out and say I just learned out of it, but I made such expensive mistakes, which I would say now we do it better because there are a lot of advisors, consultants, right? You should listen to them, understand, get to ground. So in the pursuit of getting things executed very fast, you make a lot of mistakes. So I would advise the younger version of Vinod, to be more smart in the sense of decision making. And today we do that, right? We have so many advisors, and it does help. And finally, it's such an important thing that uh, uh, to me today it looks like if I hadn't made all those mistakes, I would have been at least 10x, bigger in terms of my whatever outcome is today for me.
I can imagine. But still, you're doing really well compared to average Indian. You started from nothing all the way. You've exited a lot of businesses. Now um, you built an amazing business, which is already touching millions, but is going to touch billions as well. So finally, what
Yeah,
excites?
there's a new term nowadays, I've heard called unicorn, right? So we'll become a unicorn very soon.
A unicorn, absolutely, and I do. I mean, that also was. I wanted to understand that. So, what are you excited about? What's next for PlasmaGen in the next 2 to 3 years?
See, we are scaling up pretty fast, right? And next 4 to 5 years, uh, we are looking at revenues upward of 1,500 to 2,000 crore, and uh, that's on the number side. But then from a outreach, we want to be there in 40 countries,
Yeah.
right? In India, and certainly help millions of patients across the world.
Definitely. I mean, with your vision and the kind of products you're developed locally, domestically, addressing and making a difference in humans' life. And I truly pray that the more you reach, the more difference you make to people's life, right? Thank you for such an honest and insightful conversation. I mean, these are the lessons for every entrepreneur about resilience, about clarity, and building for impact, right? Um, to our listeners, if this episode resonated with you, please share with someone who is building something meaningful. And don't forget to subscribe. Vinod, any final comments before you leave?
Yeah, Kiran, thank you. I mean, for bringing me on this platform. In fact, you know that I've told you that when we met last. That the way you reached out, in today's crowded world, right? You get hundreds of emails, you get hundreds of phone calls. You just stood out, right? And I really like that about you. So that's one thing which I want to learn out, to stand out, in that crowded space. And certainly, from a overall approach perspective of the work what you're doing, I'm sure you will make a difference in a lot of businesses and help business owners scale up, right? And I'm very glad that I met you, and looking forward to interacting with you on more uh, regular basis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Vinod. Thank you once again for your time, and I really wish you all the best. And within 3-4 years, I could easily visualize myself reaching 40 countries and making a difference in people's life. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you.